Thanks for joining to Dinamani, sir. Hope you're aware of the exit polls. Congress is losing in Punjab. So how do you see that, sir?
I don't think exit polls in our country have a very good record for being right. I will say very simply that polling is an inexact science, but it works best in more homogeneous societies than ours. Because unless a pollster actually manages to get the right kind of social divisions, the right balance, not only of genders, but also of religions, of castes, of subcastes, and so on, education levels, economic levels, all of that in their sample, no poll can actually be an accurate reflection or mirror of our society. So I don't really tend to believe in our polls at all, and in fact, it's no accident that over 90% of our polls have always been wrong. Secondly, particularly in northern India, there is a well-established practice of lying to the pollsters. People don't trust who the pollsters are. They think they may have come from the government. So you can't afford to incur any negative consequences by answering the question. So my feeling is today is the 8th of March. In 2 days we'll have the real numbers. Why waste time on the false numbers?
Okay, then if you are not hoping in polls, means what your predictions, sir? What are you going to expect?
No, I think that what I picked up from the ground and from journalists suggests to me that in UP it's going to be very close between the BJP and the Samajwadi. In Punjab it does seem that the Aam Aadmi Party is ahead. But in the 3 other states, Goa, Uttarakhand and Manipur, I believe the Congress has a very good chance. And it could either be as the largest single party in forming a coalition, or as in Uttarakhand, perhaps even as the outright victor. But we will have to wait and see. And so all I'm saying is we get an impression from what our party workers who are campaigning there tell us, and we also get an impression from journalists, particularly neutral-minded journalists, who are picking up the currents. And those are what led to my conclusion today. They could be wrong, therefore I could be wrong. That's why I believe that in elections one should wait for the real count.
How do you see the Ukrainian evacuation? You know, you are aware of the Ukrainian students' evacuation.
The Indian students.
Indian students' evacuation from Ukraine. But how do you see the claims that just because of the Modi's relationship with the neighboring countries in Ukraine, that helped the evacuation easily? How do you see such claims?
India has historically maintained very good relations, going well back before Mr. Modi. And I think that our diplomacy, our professional diplomats on the foreign ministry, who are supposed to be non-political, and I think they are the ones who have done the job of negotiating with the neighboring countries and facilitating. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing. I would not give any special credit to Mr. Modi or to his government, because any other country in the same situation would have the same sort of help from neighboring countries. Why would you, if some foreign students were stuck here, would we not help them go? It's a normal thing. Let's say there is a war in Pakistan. Foreign students in Pakistan come to India, and people say, will you help get them out? Can we land planes to evacuate them? Of course we'll do it. It's a normal thing. Not doing it would be more shocking. So the fact that these neighboring countries have done this is not that unusual or special, but I'm glad we've got good enough relations and everything has progressed very smoothly.
So what's going to be the future of Indian students from Ukraine in their education, sir?
That is a big worry, because obviously if this war could go on for a while, if it finishes quickly and the normal life is able to resume, then it's a different matter. They can go back to Ukraine and lose only a few weeks or a few months. But if it continues indefinitely, there is a very fair question. These are all potential future doctors, and they're also citizens of ours. What is our responsibility towards them? I have suggested in social media that we should make special arrangements to educate these people, to which there's been some pushback, because some of the doctors have written to me saying that many of these students went abroad because they didn't have the marks to get into Indian colleges, whereas others who didn't have the marks missed out. So why are you privileging them over those who have been excluded because they didn't have the marks in Neet and who are still in India? Now my answer is these are exceptional circumstances, and when you have an emergency like this, you need to make an emergency response. It can also be done on a purely temporary basis. At the moment the situation is normal in Ukraine, they have to go back. But some sort of solution ought to be found, because I think it would be a real shame in our country to waste the talents of these people, and also to destroy their hopes. Because if it had not been for a war, they would not be coming back to India without any institutional affiliation and without any hope of.
Sir, Neet ban is a long time voice from Tamil Nadu. So post this Ukraine crisis, it also started in Karnataka. So how do you see this NEET exam ban?
Well, the NEET issue is a problem at various levels. The central government has the logic that if you have one examination for everybody, it's much fairer to the students. Otherwise, somebody who's applying to 7 different medical colleges has to take 7 different exams. If each state has their own exam, it would be even more complicated, 7 different syllabuses and so on. Whereas we are one country, we should have one exam. The Tamil Nadu government's position is equally reasonable. They're saying that the examination works against those who have studied in the vernacular systems and local languages and who are in any case planning to live and practice in their home states. Why should they need the qualifications that, say, a nationwide exam requires, and could we not have? So some compromise ought to be found. I still believe we cannot just overnight abolish the NEET, especially since every state except Tamil Nadu so far has accepted it. And now you're saying Karnataka is questioning, but I've not heard that yet myself. All I will say is that if we can have some sort of distinction between a sort of national examination and a state examination, and that perhaps those who pass the state examinations can study in the state medical colleges, but only in their state, that might be a happy compromise. So there may be doctors or aspiring doctors from Tamil Nadu who would like to study at AIIMS in Delhi or Calcutta Medical College or whatever. They have to take the NEET. Whereas somebody who's only going to live and work and study in Tamil Nadu could take a state examination and do it. Maybe that kind of compromise ought to be found. But that's still not been decided by the central government.
So one last question. I saw your Twitter post this morning. You wishes for Women's Day. So women reservation bill is there for the past 25 years.
Yeah.
So how long will it take to pass, sir?
You know, it's something that you should ask the present government, because my party, when we were in power, passed that bill in the Rajya Sabha.
Yeah.
It is then a question of who has the Lok Sabha majority to pass it. Right now, the BJP has had a crushing majority for 2 terms. They've made no gesture of introducing the bill, even though they voted for the bill in the Rajya Sabha. So you have to ask them what is holding you up from bringing it. At least when UPA was in power, we could truthfully say that we needed allies and not all the allies were on board, because we didn't have a majority. At our peak, we had 206 seats out of 272 that you need for a majority. BJP has 303 seats today. What's stopping them? Who can stop them? If they're sincere in their vote in the Rajya Sabha, they ought to be sincere about passing it, and we will support it without any question.
Thank you for having your time with us.
Thank you very much.